The streets were quiet, blanketed by fresh snow that glimmered under the glow of yellow streetlights. Inside his modest apartment, Daniel Reeves sat at the edge of a worn-out couch, staring at the flickering lights of a small Christmas tree. It wasn't much, just a few old ornaments and strings of lights he had picked up from the thrift store years ago. But it was something. Christmas Eve was supposed to feel warm, magical even. But for Daniel, it only reminded him of what was missing. He sighed and looked toward the bedroom where his 6-year-old son, Oliver, had finally fallen asleep. Daniel had tucked him in after reading the same storybook 3 times, pretending to be cheerful even though his heart felt heavy. He had managed to get Oliver a small toy truck, wrapped clumsily in leftover paper. It wasn't much, but at least it was something for his boy to wake up to in the morning. Money was tighter than ever this year. His job at the auto repair shop barely covered rent and groceries. Still, he reminded himself, Oliver was healthy and they had each other. That was worth more than anything. Just as Daniel leaned back, a faint noise broke through the silence. At first, he thought it was just the wind whistling against a cracked window. But then it came again, something rustling near the dumpsters outside. Curiosity tugged at him. He grabbed his coat, slipped on his boots, and stepped into the cold night. The sight froze him in his tracks. Near the dumpster, a tiny figure was digging through bags of trash. She couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 years old. Her thin arms trembled as she pulled out scraps of food and broken wrappers. She wore no gloves, and her coat was far too small for the freezing night. For a moment, Daniel thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. A child? Out here alone on Christmas Eve? "Hey!" he called softly, not wanting to scare her. "What are you doing out here?" The girl stiffened, clutching something to her chest. Her big brown eyes darted toward him, filled with fear. For a second, she looked like a stray kitten caught in the act. I'm not stealing," she stammered, her voice trembling. I just needed some food." Daniel's heart dropped. Her cheeks were flushed from the cold, and her lips were pale. Snowflakes clung to her messy hair. "You'll freeze out here," he said, kneeling so his voice sounded gentler. "Where are your parents?" She hesitated, then whispered, I don't have any." The words pierced him like a knife. Daniel's first instinct was to bring her inside immediately, but he hesitated. He was barely scraping by himself. Could he really take on the responsibility of another child? The girl must have seen the conflict in his eyes, because she quickly added, "I'll go. I'm sorry. I won't bother you." She started to walk away, her small boots crunching in the snow. Something inside Daniel snapped. He couldn't let her vanish into the freezing night. "Wait!" he called, hurrying after her. He gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Please come inside, just for tonight. You need warm food, something hot to drink." The little girl's eyes welled with tears. For a moment, she looked like she might refuse, but then she nodded silently. Daniel led her back to his apartment. As they stepped inside, the warmth hit her face, and she shivered uncontrollably. Daniel quickly guided her to the couch and handed her a blanket. "Here, sit down. I'll make you some cocoa," he said, when he returned with a steaming mug. She cradled it in both hands as if it were treasure. She drank slowly, closing her eyes with relief. "What's your name?" Daniel asked gently. "Lila," she whispered. "Lila," he repeated softly. "That's a beautiful name. I'm Daniel, and my son, Oliver, is asleep in the other room." She nodded, glancing around shyly at the small but cozy apartment. Her gaze lingered on the Christmas tree, and a faint smile tugged at her lips. "Do you live nearby, Lila?" Daniel asked. Her smile vanished. She shook her head. "I don't live anywhere. My mom, she got sick, and then she didn't wake up." Her voice cracked. "They took her away, and no one wanted me." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He didn't know what to say. This little girl had lost everything, and here she was digging through trash on Christmas Eve. Just then, a small voice interrupted. "Daddy." Oliver stood in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. He spotted Lila on the couch and tilted his head curiously. "Who's that?" Daniel motioned him over. "This is Lila. She's our guest tonight." Oliver's face brightened. "Hi, Lila. Do you like toy trucks?" I have one. Before Daniel could stop him, Oliver ran back to his room and returned with his brand new toy truck, the only gift he had received that year. He handed it to Lila with a wide grin. You can play with it, he said. Lila's eyes widened. But it's new. Oliver shrugged. It's Christmas. You can have it for tonight. Daniel swallowed hard, blinking back tears. His son, who had so little, was willing to share without hesitation. The three of them sat together, drinking cocoa and telling stories. For the first time in years, Daniel felt something he hadn't in a long time. Hope. When it was time for bed, Lila looked uncertain. I can sleep on the floor, she whispered. No, Daniel said firmly. You'll sleep in Oliver's room. He has space and you'll be warm. Oliver clapped happily. Yeah, you can sleep in my bed. We can talk until we fall asleep. That night, as Daniel listened to their soft giggles through the thin wall, he made a silent promise. He couldn't let this little girl go back to the streets. The next morning, Daniel called the local shelter to ask about Lila's situation. But when he explained what happened, the workers' tone was cold. She'll be placed in the system, they said. We'll send someone to pick her up. Daniel looked at Lila, who was laughing with Oliver as they played on the carpet. His stomach churned. He knew what the system meant. Cold foster homes, strangers being passed around. She deserved better. When a knock finally came at the door, Daniel opened it but didn't step aside. Mr. Reeves? A woman in a heavy coat asked. We're here for the child. Daniel's jaw tightened. He glanced back at Lila, who was clutching Oliver's toy truck. She looked terrified. In that moment, Daniel knew he couldn't let her go. I want to keep her, he said firmly. I'll do whatever it takes. Papers, inspections, I don't care. But she's not leaving here. The worker frowned. It's not that simple. Then make it simple, Daniel interrupted. She has a home here. She has a brother now. I won't let her be thrown away. It took weeks of meetings, paperwork, and proving that he could provide for her. Daniel worked overtime, took on extra shifts, and barely slept. But slowly, things began to change. The court saw his determination. His neighbors vouched for his kindness. And Lila herself clung to him every step of the way, refusing to let go. By spring, the judge made it official. Daniel Reeves was now the legal guardian of Lila. The day he told her, she burst into tears and hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe. Thank you, she whispered, for giving me a family. The following Christmas Eve, Daniel sat in the same living room, but everything felt different. The tree was brighter, the room was filled with laughter, and stockings hung on the wall, one for Oliver and one for Lila. As they opened presents together, Daniel looked at the two children, his children, sitting side by side, giggling over toys. Last year, he had thought Christmas was empty, but now he realized it wasn't about gifts or money or even traditions. It was about love. And sometimes love came in the most unexpected ways, like finding a little girl searching through trash on a freezing Christmas Eve. Daniel blinked back tears as Lila whispered, "This is the best Christmas ever." He pulled both children close and whispered back, "It's just the beginning." Please subscribe channel for more.